We Know by Ralph Rainwater, Jr., recorded March 6, 2020. Comfortable? Can I get you anything? Coffee? A water? How about this sparkling stuff? Can't stand it myself, but some people love it, or say they do. Personally, I suspect they're being Charlie the Tuna. The earthquake guru, legal named Rob Carlton, surprised me by knowing the reference. I'd have thought him to be too young. Right. They want to show they have great taste, not drink something that tastes good. Exactly so, I tapped the table between us, delighted. Water be fine, said my visitor. He cast an eye at the covered plate of donuts sitting next to the coffee. Like so many of those I invite for a meeting, he had a soft, large body, the result of days spent on the internet and very little movement. Take one, or take two, I invited, as I rose to give him a bottle of water from the mini fridge. After all, they'll just go to waste when we're through. He took one chocolate donut, then after glancing at me for any sign of disapproval, the second, an old-fashioned. First, thank you for meeting me today, I said, after he'd settled down. I'm Mr. Charles, an auditor of sorts for the feds. I waved my hands in the air and used a fake, spooky voice. Woo! What do we do? We are mysterious. He laughed politely and seemed perfectly at ease. And I am so pleased to meet you, the earthquake guru, in person. Well, you sent such a nice letter, and sent a car like I'm some sort of celebrity. How could I refuse? I've been wondering if anybody from the government would ever notice what I do, Rob said, chewing on his old-fashioned. That's a great donut, isn't it? The way the sugar crystallizes on top, then the whole bite melts in your mouth? He nodded agreeably. My face is pleasant, my manner weightless and non-threatening when I need it to be. We were bonding. Of course my agency has followed your work, even when you had almost nobody watching your channel. After all, you predicted the Fukushima earthquake of 2011 right after one hit Hawaii. Nobody else saw that coming, or said so on Facebook, Twitter, any Reddit forums. Believe me, we looked. Only you. But anyone can get lucky once. To us, you earned your title Earthquake Guru in 2013, when you forecast an earthquake in Indonesia would lead to a strong one in Iran. Not only did you get the day right, you even nailed its strength. 7.2, said my guest. I issued a warning, but mainstream science said you can't predict earthquakes, and nobody listened again. He swallowed his donut and took a gulp of water. What, 2,700 people were crushed in their villages by their homes falling in on them? He wiped his glasses with a napkin. I take pride in being right, but I don't always enjoy it, Rob said. I had maybe 200 subscribers in those days. And now you have 260,000, I said. Well done. It's going to get even bigger, now that people see how many thousands could have been saved in Guatemala. I told them the Hawaii earthquake and volcano had enough force to travel through the plates and could set off fuego. Hundreds dead, thousands that might have been able to save some of their stuff instead of just running to get ahead of the ash. But the USGS publicly belittled me. The guru closed his eyes to better quote the insult. Earthquake study takes thousands of scientists and millions of dollars and still cannot be accurately predicted. One man with Google Earth and access to a few websites has neither the information or the resources to make such pronouncements. The earthquake guru is a fearmonger, searching for clicks to his channel, nothing more. He smiled, with a hint of self-congratulation. That USGS statement got me at least 50,000 new subscribers. When you have a verifiable track record and the government still treats you like a peasant, people pay attention and side with the little guy. I allowed myself a practiced sigh. Yes, that attack on you got out before we could disapprove. Another example of government employees not understanding the cultural zeitgeist. What? Asked the guru, wiping chocolate off his mouth. Our experts can be tone deaf. Even with your excellent record, very few people were paying attention, as you lamented to your warnings. Even with Mount Fuego, your channel was a fringe information source. What's the best way to bring attention to a fringe site? Have an official, I said, making air quotes, denounce you by name. Nowadays that makes you an instant folk hero, doesn't it? The guru shifted in his seat and glanced around suspiciously at the little box of a room, now clearly on guard, and clearly searching for cameras, perhaps, or a hidden microphone in the pencil stand. We were surrounded by those, of course, but he couldn't see them. How amateurish would we have to be? Make no mistake, we are not amateurs. He gave me his very best knowing look. You didn't invite me here for a job offer, or to learn my techniques, did you? To my shame, I openly laughed. By nature, I am a polite fellow, but really, the arrogance of these self-taught experts. They're like someone who grew up in a cave, rubbed two sticks together, and think they invented fire. No, no, Mr. Carlton, I am not offering you a job. Do you really believe plate tectonics and subterranean forces? You must forgive me, I am not a geologist or physicist and cannot speak to the details as you do. Are not understood? Do you really believe the earthquake guru is alone with such knowledge? For we do have thousands of scientists, and we do have virtually unlimited resources, as they say. No, we do not need help forecasting earthquakes. Creating them, perhaps, but even that is becoming a settled field, and involving areas outside your studies in any case. Then why the invite? Because I must tell you, you're making me very uneasy now. He rubbed his belly lightly. In fact, my stomach is beginning to hurt from stress. I'm about to walk out. We have now come to the crux of our encounter, I said, and quietly pressed the button under my desk which magnetically locked the door. I have a simple request. That you stop your channel. That you retire it. Why would I do that? For one thing, you'll be able to live comfortably. My office is prepared to make you a generous financial offer, to provide a stipend for not working. No more looking for clicks, even no need to continue working your little retail job at Best Buy for $11.35 an hour. You'll be able to pursue your other hobbies, to travel, whatever you wish. Rob leaned across the table to emphasize the strong words he felt compelled to deliver. I don't know why you're trying to buy me off, but my work isn't just about making a little extra money from ad revenue. It's about trying to save lives. It's about using the internet to make people aware of dangers and to give them time to prepare, to grab their bug-out bags and get to safety. To accept your offer is to turn my back on those who are most likely to be crushed when the ground shakes or volcanoes erupt. Those in Africa, South America, Mexico, places where construction standards don't include earthquake resistance. Yes, of course, I nodded agreeably. Consider this, however. What if we don't want those people alerted? What if your goals and our goals are totally opposed? Rob sat back in his chair, his broad face visibly ashen, aghast with realization. I knew the discomfort in his stomach would be growing too, a fact he'd put down to emotions. You want people to die, he said. You're using these natural disasters to kill. Wait, not just using, maybe even creating. There are 7 billion people on this little planet. One of my office's goals is to make sure we don't get to 8 billion. Ideally, we'd like to see it shrink. It was my turn to lean over the desk. Honestly, if Africa or South America were empty of human life, if everyone just vanished overnight, would anyone notice? Would they care? Other than a Pharisee's display of grief, of course, to show others what kind, compassionate people they are. We're done here, Rob said, and stood to leave. He gripped his stomach and used a napkin to wipe his sweating face. As expected, his legs were a little weak, and he sat back down. Wow, you're making me literally sick, he said. I ask you to reconsider, I said, and genuinely meant it. If you promise to close your channel, and to never speak of our agreement, you can live a moderately comfortable life. You can walk out of here knowing food and shelter and the opportunity to pursue happiness are yours for the rest of your natural life. Rob heaved himself up from the chair and took a staggering step toward the door. No, everything about this is evil. It's making me ill just hearing of it. I'm leaving and I'm going to report everything that's happened here. That's what good people do. You will not reconsider? No chance. He stared at me defiantly and turned the door handle, only to find the door wouldn't budge. Really, he said. Am I really locked in here? Let me out or I punch your teeth out. Threats like that from the kinds of people I deal with are never actual. Oh, a cornered animal can look scary, may even be able to hurt the untrained. I am not untrained, however, and despite our 20-year age difference and his roughly 80-pound advantage, even at his best, the earthquake guru couldn't actually hurt me. In any event, he wasn't at his best, as he would die in a few moments anyway. You have my sincerest regrets, Mr. Carlton, I said, and I held up the little vial of clear fluid which could have saved his life. I honestly take no pleasure in this part of my job. If you'd accepted our offer, I would have given you this antidote. We'd signed some papers, part friends, even co-conspirators in our fight for the greater good. Now we're just going to part. My visitor's legs gave way and he dropped to his knees, clutching his belly. His glasses steamed from the great outpouring of sweat covering his skin. You poisoned me. His eyes popped from shock. The donuts. You poisoned the donuts. And the water, I affirmed. Really, there's nothing here you could have consumed that wouldn't have killed you. He reached out a shaking hand, palm up beseechingly. Give me the antidote, please. I swear to God, I won't say anything. I'll quit my channel. The weight of even staying upright on his knees became too much, and my guru toppled to his side on the hard, cold ceramic floor. I'm sorry, but it's too late for that. If it makes you feel any better, we'll make sure your little dachshund is given to a good family. I may even take charge of him myself. I've been thinking of getting a dog. What with the kids on their own and all, I have that empty nester thing going on. The guru closed his eyes, his body shaking in the effort to stay alive. The last few moments of this particular poison are unpleasant to observe, so, to give him his dignity, I released the magnetic lock on the door and stepped outside into the hallway, letting the door close behind me. A few doors down, one of my colleagues escorted another guest into his own office. I recognized this guest, one of my personal favorites in the UFO disclosure movement, a young man with a wife and 2 million subscribers, all of whom faithfully follow his videos about strange objects in the sky, under the ocean, and those unearthly beings who fly these objects. Of late, he branched out into documentaries on weather change, animal die-offs, and government conspiracies revealed through that damned Freedom of Information Act. Clearly, to not spark public panic, we can't have that kind of information getting around. As my colleague and I exchanged a small wave and polite smile in greeting, I watched our guest step into the office and really, truly hoped the young YouTuber made the right decision. The end.